So how is thyroid hormone made in these follicle cells? Well, follicle cells produce thyroglobulin. Okay, so we know these are follicle cells, so we'll start one step at a time here. So follicle cells produce thyroglobulin and exocytose it into the follicle. Okay, and thyroglobulin is an amino acid, or actually thyroglobulin is formed with the amino acid tyrosine. So it is a chain of these little tyrosine things. It's like 70. I'm not going to draw that many, but you get the idea. So we have this link of tyrosine molecules, tyrosine amino acids. We call this thyroglobulin. So we'll put that here. So thyroglobulin. So now once we have the thyroglobulin, the follicle brings in iodine from the blood. So we've got iodine ions in here, and we bring them into the follicle cell and then into the follicle itself and connect it to the thyroglobulin. So iodine comes in to the follicle cell, and it utilizes, and we're going to see this a lot, it utilizes sodium to do this. So it's a co-transport type thing. So it brings iodine into the follicle cell, and then the iodine is shuttled out into the follicle with a transporter. So put a little transporter here. Okay. So the iodine then is linked to or attached to the thyroglobulin. So it's attached to it just like this, and it's in ones and in twos. So one iodine, two iodines, one iodine, two iodines, one iodine, two iodines, just like that. And after it's covered or linked to these iodines, the thyroglobulin with its iodine on it folds in on itself. So it sort of becomes this like tangle in here. So this is the thyroglobulin, and the iodine is there. Here's a oneer, and here's a twoer, and they link. Okay, here's a twoer, and here's a twoer, and those link. So they do this all around the strand as these ones and twos and twos and twos link up. Okay, and this is how this is basically colloid. So this is the stored form of, let's call this colloid, stored form of T3 and T4. So when it's time to secrete T4 and T3 into the bloodstream, this whole thing of thyroglobulin with its linked up iodines is endocytosed into a follicle cell, and it's chopped. It's chopped up into these different parts. Some of them have 3 iodines, some of them have 4 iodines. So it's chopped up into T3 and T4. Once that occurs, then it is exocytosed into the blood. So T3 and T4. to go to the different organs or go to the cells. Okay, so what does thyroid hormone even do? So we know from looking at the amine hormones that thyroid hormone functions like a steroid. So that means it's going to enter the cell. It's not going to have a receptor on the outside of the cell. Its receptor is going to be on the inside of the cell. It also means it is going to increase protein synthesis because that's what steroid hormones do. So thyroid hormone targets most body cells. It targets most body cells. It diffuses right into the cell through the plasma membrane and connects to a receptor that's inside of there. And it binds to receptors on DNA. Which of course increases protein synthesis and increases metabolism and growth. T3 is the active form. So T4 is not. T4 is inactive and can be inactivated by the cells. It can be activated by cells. 80% of it's activated in the liver cells. And also as it's flowing through the blood, it will degrade into T3. Okay, so we have a whole lot more T4 than we have T3. T3 and T4, TSH, when we're talking about thyroid stimulating hormone, so that's the hormone that comes from the pituitary gland that causes this to occur. Oops, sorry everybody. Oh, how in the world? Okay, so TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, it increases chopping of the T3, T4, making more T3 and T4. It increases the absorption for iodine into the thyroid, into the follicles. It increases the rate that iodine enters. So it increases the absorption, increases the speed or the rate that it diffuses in. And it increases more follicle cells. So it makes us make more follicle cells. T3 and T4 increases basal metabolic rate, so that's basically your basal metabolic rate is the rate at which your body burns calories just doing the minimal functions of life. Okay, so it increases that. It increases nutrient breakdown and and oxygen for ATP production. So it increases nutrients and oxygen for ATP production. It increases, I'll go this way, increases glucose oxidation, because we gotta have, that basically goes with this, increasing of nutrients, but increases glucose oxidation to make ATP. It increases heat release. So it increases body temperature. So if you're someone who has a hyperactive thyroid, you're going to be hot. Your metabolic system is going to be sped up. You're going to have a high heart rate. You're going to have loose stools, diarrhea type thing. You're going to be very maybe fidgety or anxious. Okay, if you have hypothyroidism or low thyroid, then you're going to be tired. You're going to be constipated. You're going to feel, you're going to have brain fog. Everything's going to be slow and whatever. You're also going to be cold. If you're hyper, you're going to be too hot. Okay, so basically, thyroid hormones, very important. Important for the metabolic rate of the body. Thyroid hormones are important in fetal development. They sort of keep growth hormone in check as far as bones growing and muscles growing and all of that stuff. So it's very, very important hormone. Yep, I think that's about it.